what ends up happening when you do this is we now have a series of even width parallel paddocks for ease of equipment use, fencing, etc. And it also it will allow us to electrify this with a minimum amount of power mains. So if we're going to run a single power line from the house, because there's the buildings over here, we can run a single line like that, and it lights up every single strand of fence. All you do is you clip into it, and you're live. Well, I would only do this if you're going to have other pieces of equipment, like out in this field here, there's a shed with this or that or the other thing. Maybe you got a cooler over here, maybe you got pumps over somewhere else. So this would be if you want to have a main power source that goes somewhere across the farm. Otherwise, I just go like that and put it on the perimeter fence. And then the perimeter fence, if that's the hot line, in order to plug into it, you just put your clip across from the end of one of these blue lines and clip into the fence, and you're live. So if this is the water management pattern, there's channels, and then the spoils have been dumped downhill. Now what we can do is we can just mark these lines with flags, and then we do strip cutting. We'll do narrow clear cuts to clear an alley to let some more sun in, leave residual trees there to grow, to continue to grow. So through the years, maybe we'll take 20 years to do this. We'll convert this into a semi-open pine savanna or oak savanna, whatever the model is, whatever the vegetation type is at that particular spot, and it'll look like this. So what this is this represents 500 or so acres of timber that can be continually harvested every single year. It's an annual yield every single year. It's not a huge yield, but it's an annual yield every single year, and you need to do it in order to keep your grass growing, in order to have your grazing for your animals. And then just as clear cutting is when you open up a big wide patch. Regeneration has been shown to happen quicker in a clear cut when the clear cut is no wider than 2 times the height of the tallest canopy tree. So if you go 1, 2, and then this is 1, 2, that's about as wide a clear cut you would want for optimal regeneration. And of course, the pines, the fire adapted species are the ones that are more adapted to clear cutting. They're also the sun loving trees. They're not shade tolerant. This is more representative of what we would be doing following the pattern I just showed, the water management pattern. We got an alley, a swale, a berm, and then we leave some trees, and then we do another alley, swale, berm, leave some trees, an alley, swale, berm, leave some trees. And there's a couple of videos I know that should be on the EAT website somewhere where I show this type of cut in the Southeast. And so one of the long-term looks is this semi-open grassland under the pine. It's a fire-adapted system. You can go ahead and burn it if you want. If we make the alleys multiples of 2 times your equipment width, and so if you're going to be haying in the alleys eventually with a pull-behind haybind, 54 feet is 4 passes with a pull-behind haybind. So 54, 108 is a decent width. If you go any wider than 108, you're not going to, you're losing space. You could have more trees crammed in there. And especially if the trees that we're going to be using are pine nuts and chestnuts, pecans, or fruit species, etc. We have yielding species, and we have shade. If you have trees like this, we want to leave some shade for our animals. It's fire adapted. It's wind adapted. Here's our swale and our berm. And this is kind of what we're looking at, is a system that will look like this. This is annual yields of timber forever. And of course, annual yields of forage, fruit, nuts, berries, etc.